This week, as the temperatures climbed higher than some of our thermometers allowed, the dove, who is nesting on the little planter next to my bedroom door, continued to sit on her eggs. Every morning and every evening, I would make sure that the blue saucer that was just a few seconds away from her was filled with water. It was like a little ocean, a little oasis that she could use. I never saw her leave the nest in the entire week, as hot as it was. When the temperatures reached 115 that one day on our part of the world, I went out and looked at her. Her eyes were glazed and dull. I couldn't see that she was breathing. I was very reassured the next time I went out to see she was in a different position on the nest. I have to admit that as we came into this fall initially, I felt a little bit like my friend Turkey. I was glad to have just been immersed this summer in the simple comforts of seeing people that I love and doing practical things that I really needed to get done. It was good to have a time that felt a little bit more like summers used to feel before 2020. And I needed the self-care, which honestly I've realized I have a tendency to deny or to treat as if everything has to be a marathon and then at the end you get to have self-care. And I'm done with that, just so you know. That's one of those things we've had to come to in this world where it seems, and I'm not sure exactly why, everything is just a little bit harder than it used to be in some ways. Everything in this post-certainty era. We don't even know what to call it. We can't quite yet call it the post-COVID times, as my last 4 weeks have reminded me, as I've been touched by more COVID-caused actualities than I've experienced in the whole rest of this period. We are certainly post-certainty. We are certainly post what we knew before. The world we live in now is kind of post-predictable, too. It might seem more manageable if we just didn't care that much about those things beyond what's exactly in our reach, exactly in our scope. If we didn't care about anything beyond our own little realm, then maybe it might be a little easier to understand how to be in this particular unnameable time. I think at the heart of our faith is that tension between what the individual can do and what we can do together. We affirm both of them in our tradition, the needs of the individual and the needs of the community as well. And in this time, when there's so much subtle but persistent messaging that what we really need to do is just buy that thing that will help us feel better, it's important to have places to remind us of something else. I think that many people believe we should be living in a post-faithful world, and I don't believe that. Tracy Blackman, a prominent black preacher in the Protestant tradition, says this: "As often as I wonder what happened to the soul of our nation, I ask myself what has happened to the collective power of our church." She has a particular answer to that in her tradition, and it has to do with how faith works in the ways that she sees the world. Yet as I painted and swam, as I walked and cleaned, as I shared wonderful food with people I loved this summer, that question was as persistent as my smaller dog Ferdinand, who, when I am home, tries his best never to leave my side, never, no matter what room I'm in, no matter what I'm doing, he's always there. And that question was with me like that this summer. It's endearing until it's annoying. The question was as persistent as that dove on her nest last week. The world that we're living in, this somewhat unnameable world, this post-2020 #uncertainty world, that for some of us started to reveal itself in the middle of the last decade, has made us struggle to grasp for where we can make a difference, either as individuals or as people working together as people of faith. The refuges that we learned to forge for ourselves, especially in these last 2 years, the things we did to get through these last 2 years, have become, in some ways, shields from the world, and sometimes even addictions for some of us. Our democracy is endangered. Our very world is endangered by the realities of climate change, which nobody in this part of the world needs to be reminded of this particular week. I don't like feeling scared. I don't like feeling powerless. How many people out there do? How many of us get up every morning and say, I would love to feel scared and powerless, right? So in that way, it's easier just to stay behind our shields, behind our habits, behind the things that we found to get us through, and maybe hope in our own way that if we just ignore everything that's happening, it will just go away. Bernie Loomer was a theologian who lived and died at the end of the last century. Actually, he was a neighbor. He went to the UU Church of Berkeley in his last days. He wrote about what he called size, S-I-Z-E. He said, by size, I mean the stature of a person's soul, the range and depth of your love, your capacity for relationship. I mean the volume of life that you can take into your being and still maintain your own integrity, your individuality, the intensity and variety of the outlook you can entertain in the unity of your being without feeling defensive and insecure. I mean the strength of how you feel in this world about what it is that we can do. The largeness, this largeness is what faith and communities anchored in it create, and we need more of it in the world, in this world, this post-certain, unnameable world, if we don't want this to be the world that is post-faithful. I think that this is a time when we all are going to need to decide how we are going to respond. Loomer said back in his day, which was now several decades away, that the universe was ever increasing in complexity and he didn't have any idea what was coming. Frank Thomas, another preeminent black preacher, asked, who is it that you hope with? Who is it that you hope with? Think about that. I hope as you look around, some of the people that you hope with are sitting near you now or on a screen near you now. Having ministered during the pandemic, having preached to this sanctuary empty week after week, my heart will never cease being gladdened to look out and see your faces out there. It never will. It never will. Never will. And I hope that you feel the same way about being able to be present with one another and to look around in the ways that you can. That's a privilege, and I will not tarnish it with anything less than honesty. In this service, which traditionally we kick off our year for this congregational year, we have hard times ahead, my friends. Threats to our democracy are still very present. Threats to our neighbors, threats to our climate, they're all very real. And trying to look away is not going to be the solution for the long term. We need to take care of ourselves and take care of our world. We need to sing and cry and laugh and wonder together. We need to be with people that we can hope with. We need to live in a way that is faith-filled. We do not know that our efforts will make a difference, that's true, and yet we don't know that they won't. This is the kind of world we live in, a world in which we must have faith without certainty, as my colleague Paul Razor says, who, like that dove sitting on her eggs, hot minute after hot and boiling minute, not knowing what will come of that heat with those eggs, it is important for us to keep finding the resources, in addition to the resources to care for our own hearts, to care for the collective heart of this world of which we live. Sometimes it's just small acts, like today, just taking a small risk that might allow you to do something else in the future. Perhaps it's like today when I'm preaching my first sermon ever using my iPad. Thank you. I'm almost there. Reverend Jackie Lewis of Middle Church in New York City, one of the preeminent multicultural progressive congregations, which in 2020, in the middle of the pandemic, saw their beloved sanctuary burn to the ground in a totally random fire, says our vision is the story or lens through which we see reality, our preferred future for which we enact it as we can. People who tell me, and I have a lot of you that do this, that our creature nature is just to protect ourselves at all costs. That's just our nature. We can't do anything to change it. People who tell me that or say that we can't do anything because are, to me, as wrong as the people who say we can't do anything because there's some omnipotent power that will take care of it all for us, so we don't need to worry. In so many ways, both of those, to me, are just two different paths of fear. I choose to have that different lens, a different vision, that faith-filled one. And I said that to the dove last night as I walked by her. She was sitting on a slightly different position on her eggs as a slight breeze ruffled her feathers. And what will be born of our efforts? We really don't know. And yet we know that the journey matters, the commitments matter, the choices, every one of them matters. Whether we choose today to go out there and sign up to do some small thing that we can, or to reach out to someone, or to come to learn at our book read, whatever we choose to do, the small things that we do, those matter to all of us. Faith is the path we offer here, and I so look forward to walking together through this year. Why faith? Because I need it. I think you might need it. I know the world needs it. The world's children and youth and young adults so need it in small ways, commitment by commitment. May we, together, make it so.